We have already seen that everything is a soup of frequencies, and that a place is a specific frequency represented by a number. A fixed number represents that place without the temporal progression, without the factors of temporal progression. In other words, the numbers advance as the place changes slightly due to the interaction of one or more consciousnesses, which ultimately are only one. If we have a specific place, simply because the bacterium or something even smaller moves, it already causes or confers a change of and in the energy dynamics of the whole place, what you can see as a displacement of mass. Really, from the point of view of the ether, it is a displacement of potential energy in the form of gravity. If we have 3 asteroids and we add a small rock between them, all the math between them is altered. This math is the harmonics of a frequency, in this case, of this specific place, which is what dictates the gravity flow that will form objects perceived as solids. So we can see that perceptibly everything moves, and all the mathematical values of the harmonics change constantly and at a rhythm that depends on the observer. So we see this no longer as objects in their continuation, but as energy only. And we use numerical values to represent the amounts of energy for each aspect of that place. The progression between the numerical values and its mathematical relation is the frequency harmonics of said flow. We call this flow flux, or the direction of movement of the ether waves that we call gravity. So, as there is a constant change and flow of harmonics of each place, these harmonics interact with each other all the time in a mathematical way. That is, what one does affects the other, continuously adding or subtracting strength to and from it. It means that the value of a stone in one place is altered by the proximity of another or of any other thing with mass. This flux is in everything, a series of gravitational currents that interact between themselves, changing the direction of the flux, adding or subtracting force when passing through other objects. This means that the matter is only apparent and is subject to the interpretation of a consciousness that, by having knowledge of its own existence, creates time and animates said potential energy, giving it values and also meanings. So the only thing that exists is gravity. Everything is gravity. An object with mass only apparently has more than other, because it receives more gravitational flux, and this one has more of it because something is fanning or concentrating that flux towards that place where the object is formed. This something is the consciousness of the observer, either in isolation or by complexity among other consciousnesses, creating a soup of gravity in constant motion. And when already interpreted, this soup is what we call objective reality. So everything moves, everything changes values constantly. If a place is represented by a number, which is a frequency or direction in the whole, as we have seen in stellar navigation, sometimes with a mathematical interaction of gravitational flux values, the result of that mathematical interaction is equivalent to another place. This means that if a place has a value of 726, simplified, the result of the gravitational flow, the flux in its surroundings, can add to it a total in its frequency harmonics of 928, which equals another location, far or near, depending on the mathematics of each location's flow. As everything is in motion, the frequency equivalence of the place A 726 with the place B 928, with a difference in values of 202, will only be sustained for a short period of time. In other words, place A 726 is for a short period of time place B 928 by mathematical equivalence. And as this equivalence is localized, we have, depending on factors such as flux and energy, a portal. It means that a portal opens. It lasts a certain period of time that depends on its own mathematics, and later it closes and changes again its harmonics. All places in the material world, be it on Earth, another planet, moon, solar system or galaxy, are immersed in a soup of potential energy with a gravitational flow of specific energetic values, ever-changing, and each one with its harmonics of a frequency. This we call space-time, or a physical place. Every place has major energy concentration nodes, chakras if you want. Talking about the Earth, they are in specific points all over the surface, as in Giza, for example. These energetic points correspond to energetic flows or fluxes on the planet. They are everywhere, but we will use the planet as example. They are large or small. A natural portal can be generated at any point, and in fact, that happens all the time. But they are small and of low intensity or energy. Them opening like bubbles around is part of space-time. If they are large enough, some information passes to us, and we detect them as a déjà vu, as a ghost, as a shadow in our peripheral vision, a sound that we do not recognize and then forget as unimportant a moment later. It is part of life. But because of the interaction of major energy points, sometimes these bubbles are larger and are portals to other sites. A portal is shown as flat or as a vortex, and can be so mostly when it is artificial. When a portal is natural, it is represented as a bubble or a three-dimensional hole, a sphere that, by being touched or entered, takes you to other sites. As many movements in the cosmos are cyclical, the mathematical energetic dynamic of a location with portal tends to repeat with exact periodicity. This is why one knows when and where a portal will appear. The indigenous Americans knew this, among others. It is just the same energy that is everything. Potential energy in eternal movement in a ballet or infinite mathematical dance. Thanks! It is more interesting and coherent than I imagined. Asks Robert. So, natural portals are predictable? Not all. It depends on its specific qualities. But yes, many are. You can also use the energy of a point or place to increase it with your technology and thus have a more powerful portal with less energy. Or use the point or terrestrial node to have more effective artificial portals. You only need to know the harmonics of a frequency of said place. This is why the pyramids were constructed in Giza, for example. Asks Robert. And what requirements would a natural portal have to meet, in addition to being in energy sites, such as those that appear on those maps that you have shared with us? The weather, for example, the position of the planets, the date of the year, the temperature, if it is a day or night, a solar eclipse, etc. Everything is a factor. Everything is a consequence of gravity or of a flux within the ether. But if we have a strong portal, the interaction with minor factors such as the weather will have little effect on the final result. Eclipses, yes, they can alter the portals. In many cases, it is what triggers them. Asks Robert. There are some people who draw spirals in different places. Is that to open natural or artificial portals? If someone makes them, they are artificial. They can be created with mind only. But it is easier from the astral side, because it requires less energy than you would need to run and alter the heavy harmonics that compose a material body. My question is, can objects and persons go through natural portals without wanting to and disappear on the other side? Is this what has happened in the Bermuda Triangle, for example? Yes, this happens all the time. It depends on the strength of each portal. As I have said, they are in any size. But the Triangle of the Bermudas is a strong, energetic node on the Earth. And there is a submerged pyramid there too, for the same reason. The pyramids concentrate their dispersed energy in a point or central node, or 0 point. But when they form for a time period, as you said, do they form again at the same point? Yes, they have the tendency to form in the same point, but they can move too. It is mainly the strong ones that conserve the same point. It is because the harmonics that control them are strong there, so they won't have the same tendency to move as the smaller ones. They can also move centimeters only, having an eccentric core. But regard a portal as a point where one place equals the other, being the same place at that point. So it's a hole between 2 points. You jump to one place, you jump to the other and back. And back? By going through the portal you can return? Yes, you can go through the same portal again, as long as it is open. Okay, and when you travel through space, isn't it dangerous for you? Maybe you can pass through some natural portal, or can you know in advance? Oh yes, that is why we prefer the supraluminal travel. We skip all the dangers. In space, the portals have the tendency to be large by the dynamics of large objects with great mass, or rather, with a large gravity concentration. And there are portals that are used for ship transits too. But can you see them in advance? Mostly, they are already known. There are other smaller ones that appear and disappear, but in supraluminal flight, they don't matter. It is impossible to know where all are. Asks Robert. So it is true that the Bermuda Triangle is a portal. So the pyramids concentrate all the energy of a portal in one point or node. Wow. Yes, not that it is a portal, but it is a point where, with certain factors, a portal opens. And where do these boats and planes go? Do you know? This is more difficult to know. It can be anywhere. But wherever or whenever? On Earth, it is more common to add place factors. That is to say that more than where they were sent, it is more logical to when those places and those ships were sent. Because the alteration of the factors in the place harmonics is more sensitive in the temporal factor than in the place factor. But they can be sent anywhere as well. And to when do they go then? Is it possible to know, more or less? These people in those planes, for example, do they all of a sudden find themselves in the 1700s? You cannot know without exploration. And yes, and that has already been reported by many. This happens. They find themselves in the same place, but in another time. There are countless testimonies or cases. Wow. Then there ought to be documented cases in the past of strange artifacts from the future. There are, Gosha, many objects out of their time. Another important point is that if you open a portal in the Bermuda Triangle, over the sea and/or land, then it would be hard for that portal to shoot them out into deep space, as the harmonics preserve similar energetic mathematical factors, and that's why the portal is shared by two places. So it would rather send whoever crosses to another similar place with similar harmonics. That means another beach in another density or on another planet, but beaches and islands, not deep space, black and hostile. Wow, to another planet? Anywhere, as long as your frequencies are compatible or are similar. As long as the frequencies are compatible? But if it is a plane full of people, each one will have a different frequency. Do they go as a group or will each end up in a different place? Yes, they have different frequency, but by agreements, they have more or less the same one. That is why they are there together. There is a report of a commercial airplane that disappeared decades ago en route to Caracas from the USA. It appeared on the radars not too long ago, and they guided it to the airport. The pilots realized something was wrong, and they took off again and disappeared. While the reliability of each case should be considered carefully, they all have the same characteristics. Okay, I thought that maybe the portal would shoot them all out to different sites and times in the universe. Not if they are together, but each one will perceive it all differently. What other portals as strong as in the Bermudas are there on Earth? The Dragon Triangle, Alaska, Crimea, Brazil, New Mexico, Nazca, Machu Picchu, various places in China and Japan. There is a large one in Siberia. The list is long. Asks Robert. So, you could open a portal with the mind? I am not clear on this. Yes, you can. Asks Robert. And do you know where you go, or would it be somewhere random? It is easier if you travel astrally, and from there you open it with your intention. You open where you want to go, but you also only go to that place without making a portal. After all, it is the astral realm. But you don't go with your physical body, only in the astral. Yes, you can go with the physical body too, but few have achieved it. On the other hand, changing from one frequency map to another with daily decisions is also a portal. You just don't go anywhere else in the galaxy. Yes, it depends on how you define a portal. It can be changes of your timeline, yes, although they obey a mathematical progression, predictable and logical. Do the military make use of such portals? Yes, the military use these portals more than anything to enhance theirs. Asks Robert. And the wormholes, What category do they fall into? They are portals too. Have you ever gone through a natural portal without wanting to, or someone you know? Only artificial, with some of the natural. But as they are not so trustworthy, this is why we prefer ships, not portals. As in going through a natural portal, no, fortunately. Or only in space. You don't feel anything. You are here and suddenly you are there. No such thing as tunnels of light or wormholes that appear like roller coasters. I like roller coasters. Okay, thank you so much for your time, Swaruu. Go and rest. I sense you are a little tired today. Yes, I couldn't sleep well last night. I had many cats on top of me. Good night then. Until soon, comments Robert. Thanks, Varu. I like cats too. Thanks to you. Until tomorrow.